Hey, you clicked on this title and I think you know why you did. It's because you have one of these, don't you? Don't you? Don't try and lie. Nah, the fact that you're watching me, oh, no, you can click away. You can click away, but no, you're not a man. You're not a man. Boo.
A better you starts today.
Look, I just say this because I think that this is a bi-yearly reminder that I think I need to make on this channel. And also because I'm just reading this book at the moment called Bullshit Jobs, and you probably have already because it was already a big smash hit, and I'm one of those people that reads it 6 years later and says, did you know? Have you heard of this very interesting book? Yes! Yes, I've heard of the Da Vinci Code. Easily the greatest book ever written. And, sorry, with the possible exception of Digital Fortress, my mistake. But the reason that I'm talking about this to you, my fellow friend, is I guess I'm my own friend, yeah, fair enough. I think that you are not utilizing your time very well. That's probably why you clicked on this. I think that, like most people in modern society now, they have a bullshit job. Now, what do I mean by bullshit job? Not what the author meant, because I think that his definition was starting to get too strict, and it was like, yes, okay. Just, look, we know what a bullshit job is, all right? It's one of those things like, you can't describe it, but you know when you see it. It's very much like woke. I think that deep down you know if you have a bullshit job. So let's just give you some broad parameters of it. It's pretty useless, and you are not using your days very effectively. You are sort of doing something that you know, even if it wasn't done, it would actually probably improve the world. Not necessarily even in an evil way either. I think that you could probably have a very fulfilling life working at BHP. I mean, how could you not by buying a harborside view in Perth, huh? It's beautiful views of Perth River. So that's definitely worth destroying the planet for. But I'm talking about a bunch of jobs out there. And the reason that I talk about this, by the way, is because there are so many people that walk up to me after seminars, after shows, and they say, I was doing something legitimately awful with my life. And then I started watching you, and I've changed that. So it could be somebody who, many times I've had somebody that works in mining, and now they're working as a climate scientist, or they're working to try and fight and combat the effects of climate change on Antarctica. This is what they do with their lives now. Something far more worthy. And then I was saying, are you making more money? And then they say, no. And then I say, how much less are you making? And then they say, about $10,000, $20,000. That's the price of your soul, $10,000 or $20,000. Think about that. So what, over the span of 5 years, another 100 grand? You're really going to be happy about that, will you? Going to work every day in the prime of your life in something that you know is awful, spending your time there with probably very awful people as well. Like the richness in quality of life, just the people that you are going to be hanging around in the Antarctic ice lab, doing really cool things there, as opposed to sitting around in the desert of Australia. I mean, look, I love this country. Not that much. I only love about, let's be honest, 3% of this country. The rest of it is barren Mad Max wasteland. You're going to be there, destroying what little ecosystem is left of that, instead of being on the fabulous ice desert, I guess, is the thing that I'm saying. But, you know, maybe you'll meet Sub-Zero out there, and that'd be cool. Or the Thing. Anyway, I'm saying that that is not worth the exchange in value at all, is it? Like, if you are going to be doing something that is truly useless, you want to be making that sort of money where you can, you know, spend it on investment, retirement stuff so you can get out of it as quickly as possible. And let's be honest, those aren't those useless jobs. The reason that you usually are in a useless job, I think, is a combinational factor of you're a lazy reptile like the rest of us, and once you're doing something with your life, you just want to keep doing that until the bitter end, and then you get moved, you go, and you get pushed off your rock like the lizard, and you go, and then run under the rock for a bit, wait for the bird to go away, and then you just go onto a different log, and you think, it's not so bad. And that's pretty much, let's be honest, that is your life. No matter how much self-help that you ever consume, the only thing that's really ever going to help you is, at some point, life is going to push you off your rock. And how quickly do you adapt? That's self-help in a nutshell. How quickly do you adapt? Have you been going to the gym so you are one of those geckos that's just like, oh, lad, I've got the calves for the run after, lad, for the run, right? That's what we're doing here. I am telling you now, and maybe sometimes I'll give you the little fulcrum. Sometimes you might, off your own volition, think, yeah, there is tastier flowers over on that rock. So I'm going to be trying to do that now by saying to you, if you are in one of these jobs that is useless, just know, and I'm sure that you're aware of it to some degree, especially if you've hit your 30s. Yeah? If you've hit your 30s, what do you think the whole time? They just went by like that. I mean, it's a trick of the mind, and you can do things to slow it down. For instance, you can start thinking back to how long that 10 years was and how much stuff you actually did do in that 10 years. That is instantly going to slow time down for you. It is just a psychological trick because you go, oh, that happened and now I'm here. And you don't think about any of the steps in between that. Sorry, that's a little side note bonus thing. Another bonus thing is that you can sign up to my Patreon and then you'll be getting all this advice and more for not free. You will be getting all kinds of sick advice. Everybody that signs up to that has just been members for years, and I get messages constantly, and it's incredible to see people just progressing as a result of that content. Just me. That's why I'm good. That's why I'm good. No, but it's also just because I'm just reading all the time, and so I'm just saying, look, these are the things that I'm reading about, so you don't have to read, you lazy fucks, and then you just get all of the benefit of that, which makes you just incrementally improve throughout your life. Like, there is a massive difference between wearing a jacket that is properly done and not wearing one, and also not letting the opportunity of a life coach get you by. Life coaches change your life. It's a cheap ass version of that. Make sure that you sign up. Come to my seminars as well. Sydney and Perth, I think, are available in the links below. And they're coming soon, so make sure that you go see them. But the thing is, I need to point this out. Time is such that the older that you have been, the more regrets you are going to get. And as we say on this channel all the time, failure weighs an ounce, regret weighs a ton. And I want you to write that down if you haven't. Failure weighs an ounce, regret weighs a ton. And I think that one of the best opportunities of a life worth lived is you go back and you look at your life and you think, it's not that many regrets. For instance, I've got friends, I'm sure you do too, that they have done a lot of effed S words in their life. And you have too, right? Everyone has. Everyone has those 5 or 6 things that just endlessly play in their head. Like, God, I wish I didn't do that. That happens a lot. But you know that these people have, what, 7,000 of them? They do one of them every day. You know those people? You talk to them about their personal life. You say, do your demons come back to haunt you? Unless they are an absolute sociopath, which would be great and an absolute heaven. And you probably would get a lot done because you never have any of these regrets weighing you down. Most people that have those regrets, they think about every single one of them. Just like you think about your 5 or 6, they think about the 7,000. Now, what's even worse than that, and that stops them from, at some point, it becomes such a weight that they become hermits and they can't do anything with the rest of their life. It's quite tragic. But, you know, not earned. I suppose that's kind of what they talk about with karma, really. But the next stage after that is going back and thinking about a life where you wasted your time. Now, that is a regret that weighs so much heavier than the 7,000. That is a true regret. Look, I'm very fortunate that I got into self-help, and this is why I think that you should subscribe to this. It's a lot of this is purely just so that we can stop you from getting that weight that will come if you don't use your time wisely. That weight will come. But the point is that my biggest regret in life, honestly, look, I am just advertising the channel a lot of this, but it is that I didn't read self-help earlier than I did, and I think that I started reading it around 19, 20. I wish that I was reading it when I was 10, and I bet you if I started reading it when I was 10, I bet you I would think I wish I started reading this at 5. As soon as I could start reading. God, I wish I could do that. I'll tell you another thing that happens. I'm in the car and I'm listening to an audiobook and I think, I'm just not learning anything from this audiobook. This is a waste of time. And then I think about everybody else listening to Spotify, the radio, some dead shit podcasts of guys with their hats backwards that say 100% every second sentence. That's what the vast majority of people are doing. They are wasting their time. But the biggest waste of all is if you are in a job that you know is a waste of time. That is the worst, because everyone on this planet, you need to understand that your work is sort of the currency of your soul almost. That is your impression on the world. Your work is your impression. What if your impression on this planet is that you need to tick a bunch of boxes that you know are bullshit and don't need to be ticked? And then you look back at your life and you were doing that for a decade. In the prime of your life, when you could have been doing all kinds of other things. I am telling you now, the one thing, now that I'm older, that I always look back at and I'm like, oh, I've got some regrets. I've got some regrets about being 20 and whatever. I wish that I traveled the world more or whatever, right? I at least have something that gives me solace. I have done more than enough public contribution in my time. More than enough. I've lifted people out of poverty. I've lifted people out of just like absolutely raising their standards in life, all because of this channel. And this is just a side gig of mine. I have a long, extensive, proud list of accomplishments that I can look at and say, yep, I made a difference. I helped. And then I think about what my alternative would have been, which is working at some bullshit Surrey Hills marketing advertising firm, making up a bunch of lies for a bunch of products that don't work, and then having all of these parties where you're having margaritas, even though you're not even earning that much, purely to keep up the impression, to keep the job in the first place, to keep this bullshit cycle going. That could have been an alternative of mine. It scares me. And the thing is, if it doesn't scare you now, one day it will. And it'll be really scary because it's not a nightmare. Your life's the nightmare. So that's what I'm saying. If you are in one of these jobs and you sense it, you sense that this is not fulfilling any spiritual need, i.e. a wider contribution to society, that will eventually, no matter how much you get paid, I know from talking to people that do get paid millions of dollars that regret their entire life moving up to the millions of dollars and still regret it, even though it's getting the millions of dollars. Not enough to stop the millions of dollars, but they honestly do feel like pieces of shit the whole time. And they can't escape that reality. That's just them. Because again, this is your soul imprint on the world. This is your soul moving out of you. That is your work. You know the whole phrase labor of love? That's what it comes from. So I'm telling you now, if you are one of these people that knows that you could be doing something more, that you could be contributing more, that your life could actually have some meaning, I'm here just to tell you it absolutely can. It's true. There are, for instance, I'll give you one quick example before I go. Okay, a bush regenerator probably doesn't make as much money as somebody on the stock market. Probably, I'm not sure. Maybe. I know from talking to countless business guys over the years and countless bush regenerators, who's happier? The bush regenerator guy. It's an old Buddhist saying, right? Like, you want to be happy, start a garden. Their entire life is gardening. They are doing something and they can see it in real time. They are benefiting nature. It's like as linked to your primary monkey spirit as possible. It's such fulfilling, rich, rewarding lifestyle, and you can see it on their faces. These are very happy people. And then you look at people in the stock market that are doing nothing. Some of them are, obviously, but there are a bunch of people that are there that are kind of just there to make the bigger guy's job easier when their job is kind of just moving buttons around, right? They're not. They are not happy. And as a result of that, they take a lot of drugs to try and subdue themselves from their reality. Well, wouldn't it just be better if you couldn't afford the drugs in the first place, but were actually doing something that was good? This is my own... I know that like intellectually a lot of people understand this, but I know from looking at the wider aspects of society, and because the economy is just running so efficiently now, especially in advanced developed economies, there are just a bunch of jobs that are there basically because, well, what else are you going to do? You just give people sort of buttons to push so they feel like they're doing something. It is a cheap substitute to actually doing something. And in this day and age, it's simultaneously never been easier to not do something of value and also to do something of value. It just takes a little bit of initiative of yours. And you probably have that inkling at the back of your mind and you know what you should be moving into. And I'm here to give you that push. I hope to God that this reaches at least a few of you out there, because every single time I do one of these videos, that is probably the most rewarding thing that I ever get, is people coming back and saying, I changed careers because of you. I'm a much happier person and I'm actually doing something of benefit. So, you know, do it for your old pal Jimmy's. And subscribe to Patreon. Do that for your pal Jimmy's too.